Welcome to the Phat Games Podcast, Episode 1, Part 3. In this episode, Gary and I discuss a number of features that Kids of Karendow has. Remember to stay tuned after to hear more of Gary's great music on Kids of Karendow Radio.
I think Karendow, like our combat system, is, in my opinion, pretty fucking awesome. Our story is going to be great. We are going to have the mini games in it. It's all being very fast paced. It's like the pacing of like when you open a chest and get an item, and with combat and stuff, and how it's all very snappy. It actually mirrored that all off Ys 8. When I was playing Ys, I just loved how I'm going on like a huge tangent here, but it's probably fine.
No, I'll probably stop you. I actually kind of like the idea of like going up to a chest and just like pushing enter and you just kind of walk away without it kind of pausing too much, like in kind of like in the older kind of Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega era games. You know, every time you went up to a chest, you get something, and like that's like 2 seconds of the kind of like waiting.
Well, yeah, and in Karendow, you can open multiple chests at the same time.
Yeah, I wonder how that works.
Well, you use your arms and you lift them all up side by side. But like I didn't want to have like a lot of dialogue boxes slowing things down. They have to press buttons through because I wanted to keep the pace moving forward, because I think in a lot of respects all it really does is just adds time to the gameplay, but doesn't add much to the gameplay. Same with the battle stuff. I wanted to keep it snappy, although I think I'm going to add a little bit more time to the battle because I think it's a little too easy. We're going to maybe beef up the enemies a little bit. And the crafting / cooking system. I have never played a game until I played Ys 8 where I liked cooking. I don't know if you have, but every game that's had it, I've absolutely hated it until that game. The one thing they did different, which I will freely admit we copied, is the crafting ingredients are abundant, at least most of them. Like the really rare stuff is still rare and you have to work at it. And you can, when you craft, the stuff you create is really good. So there's incentive to actually do it. And it's not like, oh, I have to guess at a recipe, and like in Zelda, you can easily just cook garbage or whatever in Breath of the Wild. It's like that just wasn't fun for me. It's like it was.
Yeah, so you're saying like, you're not crafting just to like, let's say, sustain something, like to sustain your health or whatever. You're using it to like
really soup your stuff up.
To have an item that's actually going to be useful.
Yeah, an advantage, a strong advantage in combat against the boss. Like really, like you can use items that they'll like. So with the status effects in Karendow, none of them last outside of combat. But like, let's say you can use an item that every so often will heal you. Like there's like tons of stuff that periodically heals characters in any JRPG or any RPG, really any sort of adventure action RPG game. Anyway, but what you can do is you can craft these items that will like keep healing you every so often, and they could last for like either like maybe 5 turns or maybe the entire combat. And Karendow's combat system is kind of pseudo real time, so a turn is defined by, I guess I'm going to do a bad job describing this, so I'm not going to try. It's variable based on certain parameters in the game, and your turns or status effects are different than your turns for actual combat actions. So it's unique. So I'm clearly excited about talking about it, but I hope it actually comes off that way in the game. There isn't a lot of that in the demo, so I don't think players have been able to see that yet. There's more of it in the later builds, but I haven't shared any of those yet, at least broadly.
Yeah, I wonder if it's time for a new demo, even if you just kind of restrict it to still Pandaka, just to kind of show the latest.
Yeah, I'd have to intentionally put stuff in there because Pandaka doesn't even have any of that in it by itself. At some point, so we are going to do early access on Steam in 2022. And those should be the first 5 hours of gameplay in that. And that will be a good solid sort of piece. So we are going to charge for that, like between $5 and $10, I think. But then as the game continues to get developed, once you bought it, you get everything. So buying at the lower price point is always a good idea. So they'll see a lot more of that in that aspect, not in those parts of the game. And the demo, like when you enter combat and you're ambushed, or if you surprise the enemy, there's buffs and debuffs you receive. And in the demo that's out there, that's not very clean, and they're actually very unbalanced. If you get surprised, you get killed in one hit. So not really balanced. And the restart stuff isn't in there at all. Like, you can't quickly load from there. If you fight a boss, like, oh, this is another cool thing we have in the game. So you die to boss, you can immediately just retry, or you can retry with a level boost, and that's like, you can skip the grinding basically. So if you're not powerful enough to beat the boss and you don't want to do the grinding, you can just skip it and just go up a level right away. And
I actually kind of like that, just because you know, like, you know, you can kind of tailor the experience to how you like to experience the game.
Yep, exactly.
Like, I guess back in the day when I was a kid, I actually kind of liked grinding, but now that I'm like an adult and I have like too many things kind of in my mind,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Like, I would rather just, hey, you know what? Like, I'm enjoying this game. I like the story. Let's just you know, get through this boss.
Yeah, and you can also disable combat. And if you do that, you don't fight anything. You can you can go through the entire game, just experience the story, and enjoy it that way. For me, I think the combat is actually a big part of the game and an enjoyable part of the experience. So I hope people like that. I expect that they will. But if they don't and they like the story, they're free to experience that as well. And the other thing, in addition to the combat, is once you kill the enemies, they stay dead forever. Like forever. You can, per area, restore them if you want to do more grinding. And you get completion bonuses if you kill all the enemies in an area. If you map out the entire map, because it's an auto-complete map kind of thing, if you're walking around. There's a third thing. So, if you get all the treasure in an area, you also get a bonus. So for each area, there's a completion bonus too. And these are going to be like cool items.
Do enemies drop items?
Yes. I mean, there's only 2 in the game that drop them right now, but I just haven't made more.
Are we going to make it so they randomly drop items?
We can randomly drop. So it's set up so we can configure it so they can randomly drop a set of items that we give it to them. We can make it so it's not random either. They always drop it. And for like things, for like mini quests or side quests, when we want them to go like do a fetch quest or something, we can make it so you're not randomly having to fight 1,000 battles to find like 3 items. We could make it so, these will always drop this. So
I also think it might be fun, I guess, to have things that you can collect, I guess, off enemies.
Yep. Well, what I really want to do is, again, like as I mentioned before, the cooking. I want it really easy to get the ingredients, so you can craft stuff often, and it's good stuff that helps you in combat.
Good.
And also, I'm going to talk about quiz babies again, because we're just on the topic of everything off.
Oh yeah, what are quiz babies? Because I'm pretty sure most.
I'm not really sure how to describe quiz babies in the real world. It makes no sense. But scattered throughout the world of Karendow, there are babies. These are kind of super intelligent babies, and very adult acting. The first one you meet smoking a cigar. And there's 3 types of them. There are treasure babies, there are ninja babies, and there are forge babies. The treasure babies give you awesome treasure. The first one in the game gives you a ton of krupels. Krupels is the in-game currency. And your first recipe, which is pretzel ice cream, which apparently actually is a real world thing, which is kind of disturbing. I figured it wouldn't be, which is why I made it pretzel ice cream. And I Googled it after. I'm like, holy shit. Anyway, so that joke kind of made it into the game a bit. And pretzel ice cream, going on a bit of a tangent, gives you some awesome healing effects in combat. Back to quiz babies though, they ask you a question. The answer to this question can be found in the environment you're currently in. You might have to do some exploration and just pay attention to your surroundings, and you should be able to find the answer. When you need to answer the question, a virtual keyboard pops up on screen and you type in the answer. And if you get it right, you get your reward. So the treasure baby gives you awesome treasure, as I said. The forge baby, if you have the appropriate crafting material, you can have them craft weapons. If you don't, you can come back to them later and have them craft weapons, armor, or accessories. Or, no, those won't be items. This is going to be one of those three things. And they're going to be really good and worth your while.
Yeah, so essentially these are kind of like a puzzle or like a riddle mechanic that we have in the game, right?
And they're going to be everywhere. Well, almost everywhere at least. Anywhere where you can always go back and revisit. We don't want any of the quiz babies to be unavailable to you. If something, because there's going to be certain areas of the game where you can't go back to because of some cutscene event. So any area where you can always revisit, though there will be a quiz baby.
That's sweet, because I remember them being pretty fun in the original game.
Yeah. The last type is the ninja baby. They will teach your party either new skills or new combos. Because those skills and combos are not learned, by leveling up. They're just learned by doing things in the game. Ninja babies are one way to learn it. There will be other events that allow you to learn them as well.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
There's a lot in this game, and I didn't really realize. Should we talk about the POOPER system?
Actually, yeah, we should talk about POOPER.
All right.
POOPER is what do you say? POOPER is pretty much like the Twitter in the game.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna get another beer before we talk about that. Cheers.
Cheers, Blair.
Always wonderful chatting to you, my friend. Okay. So what is POOPER? Well, POOPER is my opinion of social media in general. It's actually why I called it that originally. And it actually, Gary, so POOPER is spelled POOPR. It originally had the E in it, but we had to make it more like Tinder or Grindr, if you will. And we dropped out the E. I originally called it that because I generally hate social media. I think, and so POOPER was my way of naming it appropriately. However, other people interpret it as, well, it's what you do when you're sitting on the toilet. But POOPER is POOPER is the in-game social media system. I think we can, it most closely resembles Twitter. And the way this works in the game is it is kind of like a quest board or jobs board, depending on what you call it. And what you do is, as you go through the game, you'll talk to people around the world. And if you talk to them and they happen to have a POOPER account, you can follow them. And throughout the game, they will post, they will drop logs on POOPER. I think that's what we called it. I have to go back and look.
Oh, drop logs. Okay, yeah, that's hilarious.
They drop logs on POOPER, and then you can read them. And if they are, like, sometimes it's random shit, and I just want to say something that'll probably be funny. But other times it's going to be like, oh, they have a quest available. So if you go read that log, it will then trigger an event in the game. So if you go back and talk to them in person, you will get a quest from them, or it might not. It could be a quest, or it could be something like people around the world will actually join the resistance, and that could also be an indicator of who might join. So you have to go seek them out as well. And that's actually,
they could also like drop clues as to like what's happening in certain locations to kind of like prompt you to go there.
Yeah, drop clues, exactly. And also build up the world too. Talked about the game's current events and what's going on in the nation of Karendow, etc. So we have the functionality for that has been built out. Zero content for it has been. Fortunately, knocking on wood, that shouldn't be too terribly long to do. But we've got that in the backlog, so it should be okay. It's been a lot of writing.
Yeah, but it should be pretty fun to kind of build out.
Yep, it will be. And there is a resistance-based minigame as well, and that's what I said. I mentioned about recruiting people for the resistance through PoopR. You can recruit people to join the resistance. They go hang out at the big resistance base we mentioned earlier, and that will allow you to actually expand on your resistance base, build more stuff there. Like you can have like a perma shop that maybe as you get people with more experience, you get better items, weapons, and armor to buy from there. And then there's going to be this. Okay, so I don't know how we haven't given a name yet, but it's the equivalent of a Star Trek holodeck, or the X-Men Danger Room, or some kind of simulation room.
So like a battleground kind of thing.
Yeah, where you can build this, and then you can load up simulations, and you also have to get the simulation programs to load up, and you get some awesome shit if you complete these. There's going to be a lot of them. There's only going to be 3 that are planned right now.
Three what that are planned? Sorry?
3 simulations in this simulator danger room holodeck thing.
I thought we were going to be you'd be able to like fight any enemy in the game, kind of thing. That would be fun too.
Scope creeps, but maybe we can work that in without too much effort.
Like the perfect thing would be like you can choose enemies or other characters.
You're thinking like a Coliseum thing.
Yeah, like you can choose any character in the game. You can fight like someone from town. You can fight Telly.
Oh, jeez, no, we're not doing that. No, those stats don't exist. We're not building that. No,
all right,
that. It's a good idea, but we're not.
It is a good idea.
We can do enemies. Everything for them is done. I'm fine with that. We could even redo bosses. You can go refight old bosses. But no, not anything in the game. They don't have stats. They don't have animations.
Yeah, I was thinking you can, if we built up stats for at least some sort of like NPCs or townfolk, you can fight Chris.
We'll put that one on the back burner. I don't think that one's going anywhere, but I like the idea. I like the idea. I don't like the scope. And I bet you if anyone actually ends up watching this, will probably tell me to do it, and then we'll have to.
It'll be an expansion. It'll be an expansion.
Yeah.
A DLC,
guys. It'll be the DLC. Although I really don't want to do any DLC with this. I want it to be done when we're done.
Oh, yeah,
But we'll see. Maybe I could be convinced otherwise. So Gary, what am I missing? I've gone to a big long spiel about the game, and I'm very enthusiastic about it.
I know we went over a lot of stuff. I don't really know if there's too much else that we haven't really covered. You know, we talked a little bit about the history of Phat games. I don't know, man.
But yeah, Gary, you have anything else to add?
No. I have no idea who's going to watch this, but I am going to tell my friends about it. They'll probably watch it.
I'll do the same. Hopefully we get a following, because I hope this is kind of entertaining. And I guess on top of that, if over time we do get a bit of a following, we are going to actually bring people on in the New York gaming scene, to have them hang out with us, tell us about their projects, and we'll probably have some of the old Phat Games team members show up from time to time as well. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it, and we're going to do this again in 2 more weeks. Until then, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and click on the notification bell. Also, if you'd like to support our podcast and game development, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Now we'll play the overworld music from Kids of Karendow.
Bye.